Good evening and welcome to the shop once again. I've got something for you tonight. A struggle I've had with router tables over the years. It's just a little annoying thing. Even with the best router tables, I found it being a problem. And tonight, I want to show you how I have solved that problem and got around it with a simple little router upgrade. Before we get into that, just want to thank you for being part of this, and also to check out epicwoodworking.com. You really should. We've got a lot of great courses over there. We've got the Neighborwood, which is an awesome community of probably like-minded people like yourself. And of course, if you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, all that good stuff. All right, let's get into it. So let me show you my current router table. It's actually the best one I've ever had. It's really nice. It's a Jessam, and they're not sponsoring or anything, but I really like this table. And it's so solid. The insert plate is so solid, but it's got this one little weakness that a lot of them have, and that are these guys. The inserts. You know what I'm talking about. They're plastic, and if you look down here, you can see if I put a straight edge on there, I don't even know if you'll be able to see it, but when I move this across, I can feel it going up and down. All right, so normally that's fine if you've got longer work. It won't give you a problem. But when you are just trying to detail something small, it's mostly traveling over this unreliable plate. Now, I know there are probably some routers out there that have almost like shaper-like inserts. Shapers are famous, like good shapers, for having these amazing steel, like machined inserts that are just dead flat with the surface. Maybe you can chat it up there and let me know what is a better option. However, most of us are probably dealing with this or other polycarbonate type plastic inserts that have bowed or sagged or warped. I'll show you that issue in a second. But you can get around it with a simple fix. Let me show you why it got so annoying. The other night, I was routing a drawer like this, a drawer front a lot like this. And I was routing around the edge. In fact, I'm going to grab the one I was doing. So this is part of our bow front table class we've got going on. You can see that little rabbet right there. That's what I was routing. So I was only coming across this portion. Now I've already put in these are ebony lines that were let into that little rabbet. But this was frustrating. It wasn't as perfect as I was anticipating. And that was because of that little bumpy round plate. Let me show you how I was doing it. So I was coming in here with this drawer front to make that cross rabbet. So I've only got like a little over 3 inches in height here. Now, I added this very sophisticated fence here. I'm not going to get into that. That's part of the complexity of this course, but I did rip this auxiliary fence to 8 degrees, or actually it'd be 98 degrees or 82, however you like. And I did that so I could hold this drawer front comfortably against there and get a nice angle cut for the rabbet to be in the same relationship to the others. But anyway, I'm going across here. Let me move that out of the way if I can. And I could feel it going up and down a little bit. You know, it was going in and then up and down. And I was doing it live on the video for the course. And I didn't say anything about it at the time. And this was just 2 nights ago. But when I went to fit in the black line, it was a little problematic. And I had done one before and I didn't have the same issue. But it made me realize I've got to have a better way. And it caused me to remember, I have had a better way. I've dealt with this issue on my other router table, and let me show you what I did about that. All right, so here's the good old, this was my other router table. This was a great one. It was from Woodhaven, this fence. I've had it for years, as you can tell. But that's my polycarbonate base that's had a number of holes drilled in it over the years. And these things, these can bother you too, because from the weight of the router, they do end up sagging, a lot of them. That's why those the Jessam plates are just amazing, if it was only for that plastic insert. So I had this curvature issue with this one, and plus the large hole that you're working with here, so you needed to deal with that and get more precision. So I wanted to cut something like this, like a dovetail, sliding dovetail on here, holding it up vertically. And so I've got a dovetail bit in there. And so what I did was, let me take this. I just clamped this up before you came. Check this out. I'm going to take it apart. All right, so what this is, it's just a little L fence, all right? And it's a piece of 1/2-inch poplar. And I glued it up so it's just dead square, okay? It's quarter sawn, or pretty near quarter sawn, just to stay super flat. You could use flat plywood, but you really want something reliable here. I have made these out of maple as well. But what it's gonna do is create a new floor for my router, for small work especially. Now, I usually make them a little longer than this, but I just threw this one together for the demo. So what I've done is I already notched the bottom piece. This is the one that's going to be on the bottom. That's below the cutter level, actually. So I'm going to actually swing this in while it's spinning and get it to cut the groove so we get a zero clearance fit. So let me go ahead and move the fence over. So see, I'm going to move the fence so I'm not contacting the blade at all. And I've got a little center line here. I'm going to put over the center line of the bit. And I'm going to put some clamps on here.
Todd says waxing the surfaces sometimes helps. Is that?
Yes, yes. Yeah, you want to wax the surface of your L fence like this right here. All right, let's try this. I hope. I'm going to say don't try this at home, but who knows? Maybe you want to. But I'm going to put on all my safety gear.
Beauty of life.
Because I am Captain Safety. And I'm going to go slowly until I see that bit just emerging, okay? By the way, it's a dovetail bit. It's a 3/4 inch dovetail bit. I think it's got a 14-degree angle. I use it a lot for sliding dovetails in various applications. I'll tell you more in a second. All right, let's go. Okay, I'm going to grab a chisel real quick. And we're just going to clean that off. So I'm going to swing the fence back out. Let's just shear that off. Check that out. Now we're going to bring our fence back over. Let me spin this so I... Okay. That looks pretty sweet right there. All right, now I'm going to lock the fence in. And what we have here is a zero clearance dovetailing cutter. Now, you could do this for for different bits too. You could come up to the table. You don't always have to cut it in like that. But what I want you to notice is now I've got this solid, flat, true square fence. So I can run things through, even small things like this, up on edge, and it'll be beautiful. And so you want to really sand this surface, and you can wax it up. In fact, I'm going to grab my wax real quick to show you that. And we're modifying our router table to do very exacting work and get around that little problem that so many routers have. So there we go. All right. So here we go. I'm going to come on back up. Turn it on. Let's make a sliding dovetail. Wow.
Magic.
See how easy that is? Now I have like absolute precision. I could feel there was no wobbling, no uncertainty, not a big hole there to worry about dropping into and having it overcut on the shoulder. None of that. This is the method that I use to make this type of piece. We've made a bunch of these candle stands. We actually have a course making this, showing making the jig to hold, because you have to first run the channel or the slot, the dovetail slot, and I use that same cutter. Then we flip and we set it up with this to run this cutter. And this is a brand new fence. This is the actual fence that I've been using for quite a few years. You can see what happens. Over the years, you have different applications, and I've even run 1-inch dovetail bits here. But this one I really went to town on because I made this out of quarter sawn hard maple, glued it up. I shellacked it lightly, sanded it, and waxed it. This is a Cadillac. Check. And it's dead square. But you want to make them long enough so they work for your application and give you good service. Now this is the sliding dovetail for drawer dividers. And if you've seen the fine woodworking article we did on a shaker chest of drawers, it was using this same jig to cut these short sliding dovetails over here. You could cut them quite easily. And we also have the course that if you want to make a sliding shaker chest of drawers, you'll get into this as well. Now, let's get back to our first issue, this guy. So this had the issue because I was trying to cut a little rabbet. Now, I've just got a 3/4 inch bit in here, and it's just lightly up. I was just cutting like this 3/32 inset for the ebony line. And so rather than rocking around with this guy like this, coming in and having it be funky on that plate, I'm going to modify it with this. So I'm just going to do a simple modification here. Now let's take this off. I'm not actually going to make a cut on here because it takes too long to set up, and I don't have it set up. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this up. This is going to go under, and that's going to become my new floor. And this is some of that quarter sawn maple. So I'll set this on. right on the gap there. Then I'll put my clamp back on, my clamps. So now I've got my 8 degree, and it's resting on that solid, true flat maple. We have, just with a piece of wood, this is a cheap fix, but do not think it's cheap. It's really slick, and it does an amazing job. Now you notice I had to make these little cutouts so I could access the adjustment of this. Let me see where my wrenches are. I don't know where to put them. I don't have to adjust it, but you can see that I would just crank that up until, and then set the fence slightly. I would just crank up the blade because now I'm below the thickness here. And then I would come in with my drawer front again, set it on here. Wow, what a difference. That thing is just sliding as accurately as you can imagine. So just go.
Is this available
True.
at the Epic store?
And I've
Tony's
got
asking.
No, this is sweat equity. You make these yourself. I'm just giving this away. It's free. So once you do that and you get your line inlay, check this out. We're really getting close to finishing our side table. Here's one with the line all set in. Nicely dovetailed. We've got our laminated drawer front. There's our ebony line. And our sunburst with
gorgeous.
Cuban mahogany wedges. And then on the bottom, we've got a very traditional drawer bottom with a raised panel and also a scrub plane bottom and a little slotted screw to allow for seasonal movement. And it fits like a piston.
We have our last night.
Oh, and
tonight,
look.
Last session.
And it hits these little leather stops, leather covered stops, so it doesn't make a loud noise, it makes a little
Gentle
thud.
thud.
That's like a real precision application, and what's nice is you can take that little L fence and stick it in the box with all the accessories to build that particular project. Like I keep my L fence with my shaker candle stand project box that's neatly packed away in the attic. What?
I don't know. I just found that funny.
Oh. Okay, so we all have our issues. Are there any other
No more
any questions?
No.
All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. That was a little crash course in getting around the inherent weakness in router tables, even the best router tables like this Jessom that I really like a lot. These guys are pain. So go for it, modify it, make your own sleds, and you'll find that you'll be able to do precise work in your own time and way. It costs nothing practically. So, hey, thanks again for being part of this. Remember, if you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, and all that stuff. And head over to epicwoodworking.com and see what's going on there. You don't want to miss out. We're having a lot of fun.
Yes.
Hey, on behalf of the camera lady and myself, we look forward to seeing you next time, right back here on Shop Night Live. All right, I'll tone it down a little for you.
You did. Thanks.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. See you next week.